Namaskar. I am Dr. Nalini Avinash Wagmare, working as an assistant professor at Tirak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth. Today's our topic is related to the great leader Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Iron Man of India. This topic is going to cover related to reorganization of Indian states as well as after independence union territories in India. So very quickly, we have to study related to this topic. Let's see Sardar Vallabhai Patel's brief life sketch. Sardar Vallabhai Patel was one of our few great national leaders who had the good fortune to serve the country in a significant way during the freedom struggle as well as after we became free from foreign rule. As a freedom fighter, Sardar remained in the forefront of our national movement. He also played a very important role as a national builder after independence. Most of the people remember the Sardar Vallabhai Patel as a leader of after independence. Now, various names given to Sardar Vallabhai Patel, various scholars, historians, and others. Sardar Vallabhai Patel has been rightly acclaimed as the architect of India's unity. His political sagacity, robust patriotism, and consummate skill have made him into one of the world's great statesmen, the builder and consolidator of New India. In India and across the world, he was often addressed as Sardar, which means chief in many languages of India. He is hailed as the Iron Man of India. His early life. He was born in 1875 on 31st October at Naindar, Kera district of Gujarat. He was the fourth son of Vallabhai Patel, the former of Karamsad in the same district, and Ladhabai. Belonged to agricultural caste known as Liwa Patidar, schooling up to English and third standard at Karamsad. In 1893, at the age of 18, married Vallabhai of Ghana, a small village 3 miles from Karamsad. In 1897, matriculated from a high school in Naidar, Kaira district at the age of 22. Sardar with his mother and brothers. This was the family photo collected from the one of the book. Then career of Sardar Vallabhai Patel. In 1913, reached Mumbai on 13 February, refused post in Judicial Department as a lecturer in Government Law School, Mumbai, and left for Ahmedabad, where he established himself as foremost criminal lawyer. In 1915, member of Gujarat Sabha, which was converted into Gujarat Provincial Congress Committee in 1990. Patel and his brother-in-law dress in 1913 mentioned in this photo. Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhai Patel in 1917 elected member of Ahmedabad Municipal Board, election challenged and set aside, stood in a by-election and was returned unopposed. Mahatma Gandhi, president of the Third Gujarat Provincial Conference, appointed an executive committee with Patel as a secretary. Impressed by Gandhi's leadership of the agitation against the British indigo planters of Champaranya, Bihar. So Sardar was very impressed by the Gandhi's thought and philosophy. Then Patel as a leader of Gujarat. Raised in the countryside of Gujarat and largely self-educated, Sardar Vallabhai Patel was employed in successful practice as a lawyer. When he was first inspired by the work and philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, Patel subsequently organized the peasants of Kheda, Porsat, and Bardoli in Gujarat in non-violent civil disobedience against oppressive policies imposed by the British Raj. In this role, he became one of the most influential leaders in Gujarat. We know that most in Bardoli revolts at that time, Sardar Vallabhai Patel played major role to suppress that one and for the Indians' rights purpose. Gujarat Sabha and Patel. Patel, under the auspices of the Gujarat Sabha, organized relief work during Ahmedabad famine in 1970 to 1980. In Kheda district, there was a failure of crops in 1918. When the government did not pay attention to the sufferings of the peasants, the Gujarat Sabha launched non-payment of land revenue campaign. Patel took an active part in this campaign. Gandhi Movement and Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Actually, in Indian history, Indian national movement, we have to find the moderate era, extremist era, and Gandhi era. Then 1992, 1947 up to we call this period as a Gandhi era. So here in Gandhi's movement, what was the role of the Sardar Vallabhai Patel? So the first 5 years from 1970 to 1922 were years of popular agitation in India. The end of the war was followed by the Rowlatt Act and still further curtailment of individuals' freedoms. We know that the First World War took place in 1914 to 1980. After the end of the war, the Britishers introduced one act that called as a Rowlatt Act. So they're also against the government. And then followed the Khilafat movement with massacres and terror in Punjab. Gandhiji and the Congress decided to non-cooperation movement. So Rowlatt Act, Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement. In this time, Vallabhai left his practice for good and gave himself up only to political and constructive work. He visited to touring in villages, addressing the meetings, organizing picketing of foreign clothes shops and liquor shops. And he, through his writings, through his speeches, to the villages, he united all the people and he forced means he inspired the people to participate in the Indian national movement against the Rowlatt Act, Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement, which all Gandhiji also against, and this all movement that time the started there the mass movement also took place. So Sardar Patel also one of the played major role to unite the people at that time. In 1920, organized campaigns of Congress party in election to Ahmedabad Municipal Board Congress. Congress captured almost all elected seats, discarded Western dress and adopted khadi dhoti, kurta and chappals, burnt all his foreign clothes. Way of life also changed to traditional pattern in Gujarat. Instead of while we are non-cooperation to British government at that time, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Gandhiji all adopted the Indian produced goods and burned all the foreign clothes. Organized a conference of political workers of Gujarat in Ahmedabad and persuaded it to adopt a resolution supporting Gandhi's civil disobedience movement. Then Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel photos collected from the book. Then Bardoli Satyagraha, which is the turning point in the life history of the Sardar Vallabhai Patel, which took place in 1928. Mahatma Gandhi put Vallabhai in charge of the Bardoli Satyagraha in 1928. Vallabhai felt that the peasants must present a united front to the government. Therefore, he appealed to all communities and sections to join the movement. There was a tension between Hindus and Muslims all over India in this time. But in Bardoli, Vallabhai, with the help of Abbas Tabji, was able to persuade the Muslims to join hands with the Hindus. The Imam Sahib of Bardoli blessed the struggle and asked all Muslims to rally under the leadership of Vallabhai Patel to fight against the existing government. The Iran determination of Vallabhai Patel and the total cooperation of the people resulted in the success of the Bardoli Satyagraha. Then Brahmins and untouchables, Patildars, Banyans, Muslims, Parsis, Hindus all joined the Satyagraha. Women also joined the Vallabhai and knew that without their help and cooperation, the Satyagraha may not be a success. Because in previous, we know that the women are also not participated, but Vallabhai in the Gandhi movement, men and women equally participated in this national movement. That's why the Bardoli Satyagraha also success because of the women also participated in this movement. This made Patel famous as a champion of the peasants. After the Bardoli settlement, the Sardar of Bardoli emerged as the Sardar of India, and his reputation spread all over the country. Because in this Bardoli Satyagraha movement, most of the all community people, without considering caste, community, and sex, and they united as well as the fight against the British government. In 1928, resigned presidency led recent agitation in Bardoli Taluka, Surat district against increase in land revenue rates. Mumbai government punished farmers for non-payment by confiscating and exiting land, crops and other property. As agitation continued unabated, government agreed to restore all unsold confiscated land, release satyagrahis, reinstate dismissed village officers, and reduce land tax. Named Sardar of Bardoli and thereafter known as Sardar Patel, presided over the first local self-government conference in Surat. In simple village dress, when Sardar led the Bardoli Satyagraha, this photo shows that information gives to us. Gandhi Movement and Sardar. When the Congress decided to launch the civil disobedience movement, the government was anxious to put Patel behind bars for as long as the duration as was possible due to his enormous influence in Gujarat. Now the British government stated that it is better to, for safer side, for run their government successfully. They captured they tried to Sardar not participate in public works or public life. He was arrested on 7th March 1930, 5 days before the famous Dandi March of 12th March, on the false plea that he was going to deliver a speech at Ras. Vallabhai Patel was imprisoned in 3 major incidents, namely Dandi March, during crackdown on Congress in 1932, and during the Quit India movement in 1942. So Britishers kept an eye on Sardar Vallabhai Patel not to more participation in public life and unite the people and against the British powers. So they checked that time, and 3 times he went to jail because of against the government steps he has taken. Then Congress session at Karachi in 1931, released from jail in March under Gandhi Movement Act, presided over 46 Congress session at Karachi in last week of March, helped Gandhi in his discussion with Viceroy Lord Irwin in Simla in last week of August on Congress, participation in the first roundtable conference in London. President of the Congress session at Karachi in 1931 with Gandhi. This photo is give information about Sardar Vallabhai Patel and Gandhi's participation in Karachi Congress session. Then Sardar Patel's imprisonment. He was in jail from 1932 to 1934. He was the chairman of the parliamentary subcommittee of the Indian National Congress from 1935 to 1940. Patel against British and taken leading role in Quit India movement. He was arrested on 9th August 1942 and kept in the Ahmednagar fort up to the 1945. Sardar Patel played a leading role in the Constitution Assembly. The scheme of accession various states in India was there in 1935 Act, but it remained unimplemented due to outbreak of the World War II. As we know that World War took place 1939 to 1944. However, in order to unite on 21st December 1946, the committee consists of Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, Pattabi Sitaramaiah, Shankar Rao Dev, and N. Gopal Swami Iyengar. Later on, a special states department was created and Sardar Patel was a minister in charge of that department. In 316 states were merged into neighboring provinces. As remarked, the integration of India as one political and administrative unity is a unique event during the whole course of Indian history. The honor goes to the Sardar Vallabhai Patel because 360 states are there. At that time, after independence, some states are not ready to rejoin the Indian states. That time, this Iron Man taken steps to unite the India. India and Pakistan in 1948. Then Malwa Assembly in 1948, Sardar Patel participation there. Then Sardar Patel and Mountbatten discussion photo also here. Then unification of India. Sardar Patel successfully tackled the problems of Indian states. In this, he was helped by Lord Mountbatten and V.P. Menon. The States Ministry was set up under Sardar Patel. An appeal was made to the Indian states to join the Union of India. The result was that a large number of states joined India. The result was that a large number of states joined India even before 15th August 1947. Junagadh gave some trouble, but the people revolted and ultimately that state also joined the Indian Union. Because when after independence 1947, the three states, Junagadh, Kashmir and Hyderabad, they are not ready to join the Indian territories. So at that time, Sardar Patel taken a big steps for the fear of the Indian, unite the India in a one platform, in a one. That's why Junagadh, when they are not ready, then we forcefully the state forced them to join the India. Again, the Kashmir joined the Indian Union when the tribal invaders from Pakistan attacked her. Sardar Patel gave many warnings to the ruler of Hyderabad, but without any effect. As there was no other alternative, the police action against the states started on 13 September 1948, and within 3 days, the Nizam also surrendered and they joined 1st November 1948. Hyderabad acceded to Indian territories. So here the unification of India, the big role played by the Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Sardar conversation with Sheikh Abdullah in Kashmir. His words for Kashmir issue declared in a statement, unless the Kashmir issue is settled, the financial pact between India and Pakistan cannot be implemented. Let there be no mistake that Kashmir belongs to India. Such a big words he used, and he forced the Kashmir ruler to join Indian territories. Congress in Hyderabad, the Patel's how reunion in Indian states, he went there and the Congress with the Hyderabad people. Then the Nizam of Hyderabad welcoming Sardar at the Begumpet airport on 8th October 1915. Then the reorganization of Indian states. As a result of the efforts of Sardar Patel, the political map of India was completely changed. Out of the 554 states, 216 were merged in the provinces, 310 were consolidated into 6 unions, 5 were put directly under the center as the chief commissioners provinces, 21 Punjab hill states formed the Himachal Pradesh, and 2 states were made into separate provinces. After independence, Patel played an important role in the reorganization of states on a linguistic basis. Nehru and Patel in his 74th birthday. Death of Sardar Patel on 15th December 1915. Sardar Patel role in national movement. Patel was officially awarded India's highest civilian honor posthumously in 1991. Patel's birthday, 31st October, is celebrated nationally in India as a Sardar Patel Jayanti. Sardar Patel National Memorial was established in 1980 at Moti Shahi Mahal in Ahmedabad. It composed of a museum, a gallery of portraits and historical pictures, and a library which stores important documents and books associated with Patel and his life. Among the exhibits are many of Patel's personal effects and relics from various periods of his personal and political life. Sardar Patel Museum and Stamp, stamp are produced by Indian. Then another recently the Statue of Unity is established in Gujarat. We know very well detail about it because of his work for nation. Then in conclusion, if Mahatma Gandhi can be described as the father of the nation, Sardar Patel can be described as father of the national integration. In no accepted terms, it was Patel's wisdom that brought forth an India united from amongst the hundreds of kingdoms and independent provinces. He had given 30 years of his life to the service of the country and had his mark not only on a map of India but on the minds of the men. His fine decision-making capacity and bold implementation of policy made him Indian Bismarck. His bold and courageous action in Hyderabad and Junagadh received abuse from people. Sardar Vallabhai Patel's life and work have much in them to give us strength and inspiration in this direction. We have achieved political unity, but the real national unity is yet to be accomplished. Today's Patel's political philosophy and willpower need Indians to build unity among themselves. So these are the fewer experience books you can refer. Bakshis are Sardar Patel Satyagraha. Home Department, some files are there. Then Kurukshetra's landmarks in Indian legal and constitutional history. Then V.D. Mahajan, leaders of the Indian national movement. Then message to the memorial meeting in London, Times of India, December 1950. N.D. Parikh, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Volume 1st, Ahmedabad, 1953. M. Pramod, Indian political thinkers. Then Rajula Jain, Vallabhai Patel and the National Congress, 1934 to 1939. The Great Indians book also, Virendra Grover's Vallabhai Patel, Political Thinkers of Modern India. Volume 18 gives us a lot of information about the Sardar Vallabhai Patel. So his brief life sketch, his education, his participation in the Indian national movement, as well after independence, how he reorganization of Indian states, briefly explained in this lecture. And these are the books you refer and detail study related to Sardar Vallabhai Patel role in Indian national movement as well as after independence. Thank you very much.